27th, 1942. Lieutenant Richard Bong is in a world of trouble. He's on his first combat mission, flying as a wingman for Captain Thomas Lynch. They're part of a group of about a dozen P-38 Lightnings and a huge furball with nearly 20 Japanese Zeros, which are escorting a formation of dive bombers on the way to attack Bong's airfield in Nogiri. But as the dogfight matures, a Zero has managed to get right on Bong's 6 o'clock. And it's in almost a perfect position for a gun solution. Bong sees him and squeezes off a quick radio call to Lynch.
Tom, you got a Zero on my 6. I got a break. Get the hell out of here, Dick.
Just as the Zero lets loose with its two 20mm cannons and two machine guns, Bong rolls his Lightning into a near vertical dive. The enemy fire barely misses his 38 as it accelerates down to the ground. The Zero driver knows he can't match that dive and quickly breaks away. In the meantime, Bong's Lightning gathers tremendous speed as it plunges down towards the deck. Bong's clearly been well briefed on the 38's problem with compressibility and manages to keep his big plane fully under control. Obviously, this is no ordinary pilot. Even in the heat of battle, he hasn't forgotten about the basics. Bong pulls out of his dive at treetop level. He must be doing nearly 400 mils. And good Lord, look at this, there's a Japanese dive bomber right in front of him. It must have come down here to try and sneak under that furball, and neither the pilot nor its gunners see Bong closing in. Bong's in an almost perfect position for a gun solution. But probably due to his series of missed shots a few minutes ago, he waits patiently until he gets within point-blank range and squeezes off a short burst. The concentrated firepower of his 450 cals and single 20mm cannon slam right into the enemy plane. It explodes in a massive fireball. Richard Bong has just scored his first kill. But Bong's not done. He pulls up in a hard climb trying to get back up into the furball. But wait a minute, there's a Zero off his nose that's also climbing steeply. And unless he changes something, it looks like his flight path will vector him right in front of Bong's nose. Bong sees him, and with his Lightning's superior speed, he quickly closes the gap. Given the two planes' position, it looks like Bong will have to try a deflection shot. In simple terms, that's where you try and shoot ahead of the target aircraft just far enough so it gets to the spot you're firing at the same time as your bullets. Similar to shooting skeet with a shotgun. Bong quickly estimates the Zero speed and deflection angle, adjusts his 38's plane of motion and heading to set up for a perfect gun solution, and lets loose with a long burst. He scores hits all over the enemy plane. The Lightning-constructed Zero can't stand up to the Lightning's firepower. It bursts into flames, rolls over, and goes straight down into a death dive. Wow, what a mission for young Lieutenant Richard Bong. After a rough start, he scores 2 kills within about a minute and a half during his first dogfight. It looks like this kid could have a very bright future.
The pair of kills Richard Bong scores on December 27, 1942 are just the beginning of a remarkable run of success. As his victory toll rises, he becomes famous around the world. But despite all the adulation that's heaped on the fresh-faced American war hero, he's still the same unaffected kid he was when he first dreamed of flying back home in Poplar, Wisconsin.
Bong really remained unchanged to his friends and family. And in fact, if it had been up to him, he probably would have simply avoided all that attention if he could. But he saw it as part of his duty, and it appears that he tolerated it only because it was something he had to do to encourage others to fight the war.
On April 12, 1944, Bong breaks World War I ace Eddie Rickenbacker's long-standing U.S. record of 26 victories. Soon afterwards, the legendary Rickenbacker visits Bong and sends him a case of scotch as a gift. Bong later said that he actually preferred the 2 cases of Coca-Cola he got from General Kenny. Yet just because Bong is the first pilot to break Rickenbacker's record doesn't mean he lacks competition. In fact, by this time, the unofficial race for the top U.S. ace of the war has become more intense than ever. Of the 3 original 5th Air Force pilots in the competition, Bong's former flight leader, Thomas Lynch, has fallen far behind. But Bong's great rival, Tommy McGuire, is right on his heels. Always extremely competitive, especially with Bong, McGuire drives himself to the edge in an effort to win the ace race.
Sadly, it might have factored into the end of Tommy McGuire, because at 38 victories, he was killed on a mission where he actually went against his own rules of flying a P-38 with drop tanks on at low altitude and engaged in a dogfight and spun in.
When McGuire is lost, Bong's score stands at 40 victories, more than any other U.S. ace before or since. At that point, General Kennedy decides to take him out of combat for good. In a ceremony that's attended by all the top brass in the South Pacific, Bong's awarded the Medal of Honor by General Douglas MacArthur. He then returns home for another ceremony, a marriage to his fiancée, Marge. Ever the good soldier, Bong uses the occasion to make a statement to boost the morale of the troops back on the front lines.
You boys that are still overseas, I hope that you can all come home soon to as nice a feeling as I have here now. Every one of you deserves it, and I hope you find it.
Soon after his wedding, Bong's assigned as a test pilot for America's first jet fighter, the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star. With the love of his life by his side, it looks like a storybook ending to a storybook career. But Richard Bong's good fortune is about to come to an untimely end.
On August 6th, he's going to take a P-80 up for a test flight, and there's some problem with the engine. He gets the airplane up to about 400 feet or so, and then he has to bring it in. The witnesses say that he crashed in a vacant field amongst a bunch of houses, obviously purposely trying to avoid the innocent bystanders on the ground. And the plane explodes and burns.
Richard Ira Bong, America's ace of aces, is dead. It's just over a month from his 25th birthday.
Incredibly, the same day that the first of the 2 atomic bombs is dropped on the Japanese, and thus the news of his death and funeral shares the front page with the news of the end of the war in Pacific, the one that he fought so valiantly to bring to an end.
But Richard Bong did not die in vain. The record and the example that he set remain as a testament to the pilot and the man.
Every ace, no matter how successful, has to start somewhere. Sometimes that start is difficult. Rarely does the first squeeze of the trigger result in a fireball. And the same is true of a great combat plane. That's exactly what happened with Richard Bong and the P-38 Lightning. Bong bounced back from a tough start to score 2 victories in his very first combat mission. And the Lightning rebounded from its teething troubles to develop into one of the most versatile and deadly fighter planes of World War II. Together in the skies over the South Pacific, Richard Ira Bong and the P-38 Lightning combined to become one of the most successful tandems of man and machine in U.S. history. I'm Major Paul Moga. I'll see you next time on Showdown Air Combat.